Hello everyone. We are going to discuss the theories of development. And here we will be starting with the theory of cognitive development. When we are talking about cognitive development, the main emphasis is how do children become capable of exercising their cognitive skills as they grow and develop. How does cognitive development related to the process of change in the ways of thinking, reasoning and problem solving etc. among children take place among different ages and stages of the development period? So many times we ask questions to ourselves that how is it that the child starts walking? How is it that the child starts thinking? How the concept develops in the mind of the child? And all these questions can be answered with the help of theories of cognitive development. So we will begin with Piaget's theory of cognitive development. And Piaget, along with his wife, who was a former student of a Rousseau Institute, devoted almost all their precious years of their early married life to study the cognitive development of their own 3 children by making them the subjects of their laboratory studies. So, the Piaget's children were their subject whom they studied over a period of time. And Piaget has come out with the stages of cognitive development. So he postulated that like any physical organs of the human body, there are also 2 aspects of human mind. We have a cognitive structure and we also have a cognitive functioning. So he came out with some important concepts. When he was discussing the cognitive structure, he gave the term schema. And while discussing the cognitive functioning, he gave the terms assimilation and accommodation. Now, when we are talking about cognitive structure, here his emphasis was that when the child is born, he is born with some practical instincts and reflexes. Like nobody teaches them how to suck. Nobody teaches them how to look. Nobody teaches them how to grasp certain things. So these are some reflexes with which the child is born with. So the initial cognitive structure of the infant is supposed to incorporate only those cognitive abilities or potentials that is helping him to look, to reach out or to grasp certain things. And this he has named as schemas. So if we say, what is schema? The schema is the basic structure with which the child is born with. Or we can say that schema is the mental model which is available in the child and which helps him to understand the environment around him. Then cognitive functioning. What is available to an individual in terms of his schemas? That will help him to decide how he is going to respond to the stimuli present in physical or social environment. That is, the 2 terms which he gave was assimilation and accommodation. Assimilation describes how we interpret new experiences in terms of our current understanding. That is, in terms of our current schemas. So whatever schemas you have, that is going to help you how you are going to interpret your present situation. For example, suppose you have an experience that the dog has bitten you. So now whenever you will see a dog, you will always be afraid that he is going to bite you. So that is, the schema which was available to you was that the dog has bitten you earlier. And now you are interpreting that all dogs will bite you. And accommodation describes how we later adjust to our schemas to better incorporate new experiences. So sometimes we have to adjust with the new schemas. So if I revise, schema describes both the mental and physical actions involved in understanding and knowing. And schema includes the knowledge and the process of obtaining that knowledge. So any experiences which happens that is helping you in interpreting the present situations. Now, for example, a child may have a schema about a type of animal, such as dog. Now, the child has seen a small dog which is having a fur, having 4 legs. So, whenever now he encounters any small animal having 4 legs, he will interpret that as a dog. So, the previous experience, that is schema, which the child was having was, okay, there is an animal which is small and it has a fur and it has 4 legs, it is called the dog. And this information he is using for interpreting the new knowledge, that is assimilation. So whenever he finds that a small animal having the 4 legs, for him it is always a dog. So the child is seeing that. Now after some time, if somebody is telling him that no, all animals having 4 legs are not dogs. If somebody is saying, no, this animal is not a dog, but it is a cat. Now the child starts thinking that all the animals having 4 legs and fur may not always be dog, but can be cat also. That means now he is accommodating to adjust to the new schema. So this is how the concept of schema, assimilation and accommodation works. So the key concepts here is schema, which we have seen that a child may have a schema about a type of animal. The another concept is assimilation and accommodation. So it is very important to note that both assimilation and accommodation are interrelated processes and are vital for the intellectual development of a human being. Now this is what I was explaining, that when you see a 4-legged animal for the first time and the existing schema is that your 4-legged pet is a dog, so the child will call it as a dog. So this is assimilation. That means already whatever schema you had, you are using that schema to interpret the present situation. Let's take another example. The existing schema is that your 4-legged pet is a dog. But someone points out that this is a cat, though it is having a 4-legged. So now you realize that all 4-legged animals are not dogs. So this is what we call it as an accommodation. Now let us have certain questions. Have you ever experienced the following? That you are trying to explain something to a child, and even though it seems so obvious to you, the child just doesn't seem to understand. आप बार बार उसको समझा रहे हो, लेकिन अब बच्चा जो है वो समझने को तैयार नहीं. So, despite telling them, they keep on repeating the mistake over and over again, and you become frustrated. Now, why this happens? Well, guess what? The child is not naughty. The child is neither stupid, but their lack of understanding is not your fault either. इतना समझाने के बावजूद भी बच्चा नहीं समझ रहा है, एंड बच्चा जो है ऐसा नहीं है कि बेवकूफ़ है और न ही आपका कोई फॉल्ट है उसके अंदर. और वो क्यों नहीं समझ रहा है? बिकॉज उसका जो कॉग्निटिव डेवलपमेंट है उसकी कुछ लिमिटेशंस है. उसकी जो एबिलिटी टू अंडरस्टैंड सर्टन कॉन्सेप्ट हैज नॉट रीच्ड. So they are not capable right now of understanding what you are trying to explain. And that's why Piaget has said that there is a stage of development. And at each stage, the development takes place differently. So what a child of a birth to 2 years is able to do, that thing may not be done by a child of 2 to 7 years. A child of 12 to 15 years, the understanding which he has may not be seen in a child of a 2 years. So this is how the Piaget has talked about the stages of development, which we will be seeing in the next video. So here we had discussed the 3 important points which the Piaget has talked about, that is the schema, the assimilation and the accommodation. And if I have to revise, then schema is something, the mental model which a child is having, which is helping him to interpret the environment. So this is how we can define schema. Assimilation describes how we interpret new experiences in terms of our current understanding, that is, in terms of our current schemas. And accommodation talks about how we later adjust our schemas to better incorporate new experiences. Thank you.